Warning, Hebrews Toys Reviews is not intended for children. It is for adult collectors and the people over the age of 18. Hello everybody, Hebrew77 here, and welcome to another G.I. Joe toy review. For this toy review, we will be reviewing the 1982 Heavy Machine Gunist Rock and Roll. Here is the 1982 Straight Arm Rock and Roll. You can see here, I hope my shadow's not getting in the way. The camera's not tall enough. And as you can see here, we'll lift him up here. He's a straight arm figure, and he's got the bullet bandoliers out. And his arms, I'm afraid, almost like the elbows do kind of bend at 90 degrees, but these are so tight and in place, I'm almost afraid to try to extend them any further. And this is that one does good. That must have been, you can see bends at the elbow at 90 degrees and goes up so far. And of course the bullet bandoliers go all the way around. This guy, I never had him as a child, but always wanted him. Of course, I was too late to collect the first 13 G.I. Joes. I think the only one that I got that was from 1982, or maybe it was 1983. 1983 was the G.I. Joe Mobat tank driver, Steeler, and he was a pretty cool placement for some of these older Joes that were certainly modeled after Vietnam time era war soldiers. And of course he comes with a removable helmet, and as you can see, he's got the yellow blonde beard and blonde hair, although sometimes this blonde is more of an orange color. And his equivalent, or who actually came along and replaced him, whoops, was the 1984 Roadblock. And again, for the 1984 Roadblock is the 25th anniversary Roadblock, because I do not have. I did have the O-ring version that came along with G.I. Joe, or Joe versus Cobra, and but I couldn't find them anywhere, which means I probably have them in a vehicle that's put away somewhere. After him, the other heavy machine gunist, which I forgot to mention, he is a heavy artillery machine gunist, and we'll get to that when we get to his weapons. But after Roadblock came Heavy Duty, which was G.I. Joe's heavy machine gunist. After that, I do not have the original Heavy Duty as well. I also, standing in his place, and I believe Heavy Duty came out in the 1990s. Early 90s, maybe 1990, 91, somewhere along that, and was in the Deke G.I. Joe cartoon series, which followed the Sunbow series. Standing next to the 1982 Rock and Roll is the Rock and Roll that came out, I think it was 2001, and the Valor vs. Venom reissued. G.I. Joe relaunched these figures with different modes, of course, at different colors, and I do have Duke out of that package as well. And I think that might have been the same package that the Roadblock came out of, the re-release of the 1984 Roadblock, although those two figures, Duke and Roadblock, look so much similar to their original Joes I never bothered getting an original Roadblock, and now I wish I kind of had to make the comparison. But as you can see, this figure, this Rock and Roll, does have the bullet bandoliers. They do go all the way to the back. He is in a much brighter green, sort of a leafy green type thing, more so than his original counterpart. I do not have the helmet on this one. I did have a helmet on him, but his hair is molded in such a way that regular helmets, like the old G.I. Joe helmets, will not fit on him. So anyway, yeah, this is the equivalent, or the re-release. Now, I will say this, another heavy machine gunner that gets an honorable mention, to get an honorable mention, is the 1983 Gung Ho, which I think was listed as one of the original heavy machine gunners. I believe this is the M60 standalone rapid firing machine gun, which, as you can see if you look close enough, this little slot here, which is molded in and does not, his bullets bandoliers were supposed to go through this slot, and then as you're firing this gun, the bullets of course would bounce off that way. And then the only thing about this gun is I am missing the very hard to find and very expensive bipod, which goes on the end of the barrel, and those bipods are missing on a lot of these G.I. Joes. I believe Dusty came with one, which we'll get to that review. But I do have some bipods from generic made G.I. Joes. The company's name escapes my mind at the moment. But anyway, let's get on to the file card. Do have the physical file card here, but the problem is getting these words on camera, the whole file card. As you can see, my hands are kind of shaky, and standing it up is kind of an issue with these file cards, but I will read it to you. Look how shaky my hands are. I think I had 1 or 2 more cups of coffee than I should be allowed of. But I will show, I do have the physical file card, and it looks, now I got this figure on the aftermarket on eBay, so you can see the file card has sort of like a smudge there. I tried to get that off of there, but as I started scraping, I accidentally, you can see the letters fading on there. So I will read the file card, but we will do this digitally or what not have you. On the back of the file card, of course, this was cut off of a carded figure, and for some reason, the person that sold this to me off the aftermarket had these flag points taped to the file card. Now, I could remove this, but I don't want to risk tearing up the file card any more than it already is. And I will now put this in my file card collection. And I wanted to show you one other thing before we get to the file card. Where the heck did it go? Ooh! There we go. Sorry about that. Oh! Sorry about the noise. I almost missed my chair. But here is another. This is interesting. This is half a flag point. Now, could you imagine getting a G.I. Joe and having only half a flag point? Now, I imagine these half flag points were probably for accessories and not so much for the Joes themselves, because it seems like all of the Joes were worth at least 1 flag point. Now, could you imagine getting the G.I. Joe that's only worth half a flag point? That has got to be one depressed G.I. Joe. They feel like, oh, he's only worth half a flag point. Anyway, let's get now to the file card. All right, so now we'll read his file card. Machine Gunner, code name Rock and Roll, file name McConnell Craig S. Primary military specialty infantry, secondary military specialty PT instructor, birthplace Malibu, California. grade E5. And as you see in the G.I. Joe cartoons, he doesn't do the whole thing like Footloose, like, wow, man, it's like far out, man. It's so like bitchin', dude. But he does he does use some slang. He does have sort of the heavy Californian accent. But we'll move on. Rock and Roll was a surfer in Malibu prior to enlistment. He was also a weightlifter and played bass guitar in local rock bands. Is familiar with all NATO and Warsaw packed light and heavy machine guns. Graduated advanced infantry training top of class. Specialized education covert ops school. And here in his personal category, it reads, Rock and Roll is cunning but naive, forceful but shy, possesses a strong sense of loyalty to his teammates, and is sincerely concerned about their well-being, a man of honor and integrity who can be counted on to hold the line. So there you go. Rock and Roll is well respected and well trusted, and you know he's one of the he's one of the great guys. Like, this is a guy that I would have to say that you could see is almost stepping up in that leader role. Well, that does it for the
But anyway, I
1982 Rock and Roll toy review. Please excuse the t-shirt, but hey, I think it's hilarious. It's funny, whatever. But anyway, you know, that does it for this toy review. If you like the toy review, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content, please subscribe. There will be places to do so in that corner, or maybe that corner, or maybe the bottom corners. Who knows? It's pretty much all over the place. So just keep in mind, until next time, this is Hebro77 saying, knowing isn't just half the battle, it's the whole damn war.
Fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there.
It's here, the G.I. Joe collection. Infantry trooper. Codename Grunt. Bazooka soldier. Codename Zap. Motor soldier. Codename Short Fuse. Laser rifle trooper. Codename Flash. Ranger. Codename Stalker. Communications officer. Codename Breaker. Machine gunner. Codename Rock and Roll. Counterintelligence. Codename Scarlet. Commando. Codename Snake Eyes. Each sold separately. G.I. Joe from Hasbro.